I am Tonti the Indian, and this is my son, Weirdo.
Hello, my name's Weirdo. My father's always likes me. He's the best
You
father.
disappoint me for that.
Epic History Documentaries, sponsored and funded by Mountain Dew. No animals were harmed in this production. October 13th, 2018. A deadly force is headed towards the Earth. A CME, also known as coronal mass ejection. As NASA's early warning systems detect the threat, government officials struggle to relay a message to the public. Stay indoors, hunker down, get some weapons, and cover your electronics in tinfoil.
Back in 2018, they were alerting me about this giant CME or whatever. I didn't know what it meant, but then I found out we should cover our stuff in tinfoil. I mean, just cover it all in tinfoil, please. Cover it in tinfoil, please. And then, but now we're gonna have to make weapons because we don't have the internet and stuff, and our world's gonna go into anarchy. So that's why I have a weapon on my back. Yay!
Trillions of tons of supercharged material from the sun, heading straight for the Earth's surface. The effects would be devastating.
Hello. Coronal mass ejection is a large solar flare, similar to something you might see like this, that shoots out from the sun and affects the magnetic fields around the Earth. It affects them in a manner similar to what you might call an EMP, and it disturbs all electronics. It's going to be really difficult for you young folks with your iPhones, you know. But it really wreaks havoc all across the globe when something like this happens. So the effects of the coronal mass ejection on the magnetic field it will fry all the electronics on the globe unless you have them protected. You can protect the electronics in your iPhone maybe, or other types of electronics, but you can protect your electronics by putting an electronic cage around it, something that's called a Faraday cage, and it's an electronic shield that helps you protect those electronics, so you'll be able to use them after the flare has occurred.
Throughout the United States, hundreds of millions of people are hunkering in their houses for safety, but no one was really prepared. At 4:20 p.m. on October 13th, 2018, the CME strikes. There is nowhere to hide. In a matter of minutes, the world is without power. However, right before the CME struck, Kim Jong-un was like, screw it, and launched his entire nuclear arsenal at the United States. Shortly after the CME knocks out the entire power grid of the United States, the nuclear bombs land. The effect is disastrous on the areas they hit, but they also trigger an electromagnetic pulse across the United States caused by shrinking and expanding magnetic fields in the blasts. Many electronic devices saved from the first CME are damaged in the EMP blast from the nuclear bombs. Very few electronic devices in the United States are left working. Thousands of cities across America quickly descend into madness as riots erupt and people raid and destroy the towns.
A mob ransacked my town and took over it.
There are so many horrible stories just like Bob's. In just the first few days, millions die. The United States government is in shambles. The president, vice president, and almost half of the senators are dead. The US military attempts to mobilize into the cities that have been overrun, but with little success. Their most advantageous technology fried, they retreat and try to come up with a plan. But while they hide away, desperately clawing for some kind of hope, the rest of the world descends into chaos as well. No country was spared. The Middle East, already a volatile region, erupts into chaos. In every country, similar riots to the United States are filling the streets. Only rural areas are able to regain their bearings and think. Slowly, across the United States, the few people left with radios begin to communicate. Quickly, people begin to realize what had happened. It doesn't take long for many to determine the CME and nuclear bomb were the cause of this event. As well, news of the turmoil throughout the world begin to reach these rural peoples.
Alrighty, you pups, prepare, because nukes are incoming and they're gonna go boom! And the world's in turmoil, pups, so be careful. My name is Hildy Farr, and I'm from Farm Ranch. This little pillow device will protect me. Yay! Turning over radios, pups, that the pups were covered in tinfoil.
As it becomes apparent that they won't be getting any help from the United States government, people begin to prepare for the winter. Countless peoples are forced to revert to prehistoric ways of farming and agriculture to survive. Yet still, some revert to savagery. Cannibalism becomes rampant across America.
So basically, these cannibals came to my house and they stole my children. And then the murderers heard saving them, and they, God bless America! That saved me!
But despite the horrible things happening throughout America, people still begin to come together through the radios and other forms of communication left intact. All is not lost. Months after the original crisis, as winter begins to approach, the United States military comes out of hiding. Although much of their technology was destroyed during the CME and EMPs, they still have superior technology and weaponry to most of the militant groups taking control of America. They move throughout the countryside, liberating hundreds of towns. Most of the big cities are completely destroyed, but some remain, and they are able to salvage what is left and build some refugee camps for the people there that can't fend for themselves. Throughout America, organization reemerges, and they begin to pull themselves back together. Society is rebuilding itself. Although millions had died and the world's infrastructure had been completely devastated, we were still beginning to bounce back.
Hello, my name is White Chris Pratt. I survived the winter in Arabia by heat, lots and lots of heat. As you can see, I have multiple types of heat. I have large overcoats on my body. I also have some pretty dope tracks. Follow my SoundCloud.
As winter comes to an end, the people begin to reform a United States government. So tune in for next episode of Epic History Documentary and find out what happened next.
Gotta check those corners. Gotta check those corners. Gotta check those corners.
Dab on the haters, dab on the haters, dab on the haters.
Gotta